So it's been about 2 months since the last Valve Ketchup came out, and since then, there has been just an absurd amount of behind-the-scenes information pointing towards something happening at Valve Software right now. And whether or not this is something that will get finished is still up in the air, and as past events have shown, probably not the case. But today we're going to be changing the title of this show, and also catching everybody up with everything that has happened with Valve VR and their upcoming 3 VR games in this edition of Valve Ketchup. Get the fries ready, here we go. On July 26th, SteamVR got a gigantic update, adding in SteamVR input, which we talked about last month, along with also adding support for the new Knuckles prototype. However, that's not why we're here. The biggest piece of content that we saw is 4 new maps added into SteamVR Home. Now, 3 of these maps are remixes of the usual Home default map. And the biggest thing that everybody is excited about is how Valve created an original piece of Team Fortress 2 Source 2 content for SteamVR Home. Now, this is not actually the first time this has happened. Valve created the Team Fortress 2 boxing ring about a year ago for SteamVR Home. However, this time we now have the Secret Evil Lair, which is a much larger Team Fortress 2 map for SteamVR Home, including a cooperative quest line for 2 different players to experience in order to launch a rocket in the middle of the area. And if you do so, players in SteamVR Home unlock the ability to place the Engineer's mini sentries all along any of the SteamVR maps. Now, of course, this raises quite a few questions in regards to TF2 and Source 2, and maybe this points towards this Source 2 port we're all dreaming of, but unfortunately, no, this doesn't mean anything of the sort. This map, according to my current information, had almost nothing to do with the actual Team Fortress 2 team. This was just created because, like how the lab was themed around Portal 2, Valve just felt as if Team Fortress 2 was a good example to be able to test something, and this might actually be testing cooperative VR mechanics. Now, of course, this update does allow the player to do many different things, including the ability to place panels to show off your Steam account or your desktop or just general Steam VR panels from before and move them around, resize them, and just kind of customize the entire environment that you have a little bit more than you did before. And throughout the entirety of the changelog, 2 pieces of hardware are mentioned: the Base Stations 2.0 and the Knuckles EV2. 2 pieces of hardware that consumers cannot get their hands on, and at this point, as a consumer, it is a little frustrating to see new toys that we're not able to play with. The Knuckles in particular have seen quite a bit of mainstream media attention because developers, hundreds of them, have gotten their hands on Valve's newest controllers, and actually we've seen different examples of different functionalities of those controllers. First of all, SteamVR skeletal tracking, something that we talked about last month, is absurdly accurate as seen in this video. Now, there are questions in the air of this in particular. Does the thumbstick detect anything touching it in the first place? And exactly how do these controllers detect thumbs when wanting to make a fist? Because everything up until this point has had the thumbs touch the thumbsticks, which actually makes more like a thumbs up gesture. But when trying to make a fist, the thumb has to clamp on top of the other fingers. Base Stations 2.0, on the other hand, was something that I didn't think I would care too much about. However, seeing a couple of tweets from developers have upped my interest quite significantly. This picture in particular shows off many different HTC Vives running off of the same set of base stations. And if you think about it, if they're all in the same game, they won't run into each other. They're all being tracked and they'll all appear in the same space. Going back to Team Fortress 2, something else kind of happened. Jay Pinkerton, the writer responsible for Portal 2 and the entirety of the Team Fortress 2 comic book series, has returned to Valve. The Valve People page, which was recently updated only a few days ago, has added former Valve writer Jay Pinkerton back onto the list of current employees. Exactly what Mr. Pinkerton plans on doing or is currently doing to be back at Valve has not been confirmed, and more than likely it has nothing to do with the Team Fortress 2 comics. And while on that thread, there is actually another writer hired at Valve right now. Tweeted back in June, a guy by the name of Rob Yescom, and I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, has been hired at Valve as a writer. Previously, Rob has worked on The Invisible Hours, Farpoint, and Rime. Interestingly, I retweeted this guy's tweet announcing that he was working at Valve, and he messaged me saying, "Hey Tyler, I'm an avid viewer. Portal Moondust, a VR tech demo specifically designed for the developers that get their hands on the Knuckles EV2. And as discussed in my Portal Moondust video, pretty much anybody with an HTC Vive can experience this game. Something that I did that I didn't talk about in the video describing the game was I data mined everything, and the biggest thing being Wheatley. I've played the game, and I'm telling you right now, there are a bunch of Wheatley related files sitting in this game right now for some reason, including a whole lot of reused voice lines from Portal 2. While we're on the topic of previously released videos, Valve is not going to Gamescom. The arguments I gave before was because Valve GmbH is not actually Valve. It's a limited liability company, pretty much there for tax purposes. And after that video went live, Doug Lombardi actually emailed me back stating, no, Valve kinda goes there every year, but it's all for business purposes. There is nothing that will be announced at Gamescom. And the biggest thing that all games journalists neglected to mention, including myself, is that Gamescom takes place on the same weekend as the International. And of course, what everybody's here for is HLVR. Almost immediately after the release of my last Valve Ketchup, there was about 20 strings related to HLVR leaked. And after the Team Fortress 2 SteamVR update hit, there was about 15 more. Now I want to preface this. Some of these strings were ported over from Source, and some of these strings are very similar to a Source engine string, just with a slight variation or change. Also, there are probably things that I am missing. The latest SteamVR update had over 100,000 changes, and out of everything I looked through, the close to 5 hours of mining I did, I still did not go through absolutely everything. So, with that being said, let's go through the strings that leaked on June 13th, 2018, originally in Dota 2, and then almost immediately following in SteamVR. Passenger Physics Push, Vortigaunt Start Hurt Glow, Vortigaunt Zap Power Up, Vortigaunt Zap Shoot, Vortigaunt Start Heal Glow, Zombie Toggle Head, Zombie Pop Head Crab, Blind Zombie Sniff, Melee Damage, Uniform Burst, Volumetric Fog Support, VR Pistol Long Clip in Chamber, VR Pistol Long Clip in Slide Back, VR Pistol Low Kick, VR Pistol Burst Toggle, Class Zen Foliage, Break Uniform Burst, Muzzle Flash SMGs, Prop HLVR Weapon Energy Clip Large, VR Interact Mag, and Fizz Gun interactions. And later on July 12th, first seen in Dota 2, and then later in late July, seen in the latest SteamVR update, are different particles. First called Particle Snow, and then called Particle Zen Particulate, and then Particle Dust Motes. Precipitation type Particle Zen Spores, Precipitation type Dust Motes. Particles Rain Effects Zen Spore Precipitation, Particles Zen Effects Zen Spore Precipitation Outer, Particles Rain Effects Dust Motes Precipitation, and Particle Rain Effects Dust Motes Precipitation Outer. So here's the deal. We have references in updates seen in the last month and a half within Source 2, both seen in SteamVR and Dota 2, Valve's only two public Source 2 branches. And they're in both. And we have references to Zen, zombies, Vortigaunts, pistols, fizz guns, and energy guns. We've known about HLVR since June of 2016, so that puts at least 2 years of development time behind this project, and Valve wasn't wanting to talk about it the last time I spoke with anybody in person, and even now, a year and a half later, Valve is still not ready to talk about anything. And of course, like every Valve Ketchup episode, we're gonna talk about some recent releases for VR that you might not have known about, and I really recommend. Like last time, I'm gonna say that if you do not own a VR headset, that prices are going down. Specifically, the Windows Mixed Reality headsets being only about $200, and with the right tinkering, pretty much being capable of playing any SteamVR compatible game. So with that being said, what did I play this month that I really liked? Well, the first one was called GNOG, or GNOG. This is a stunningly beautiful puzzle game that's really trippy and weird. Without ruining exactly how the game plays, essentially you're given what I think are heads of robots that are also organically created, so they're like trees or water or fish, and you have to solve puzzles based on the different pieces of their heads. Turn their eyes or mess with their brains. It sounds really grotesque, but it's very beautiful and artistic and stylized, as you can see within the gameplay. This game is also fairly long, being about 10 levels, and each level taking about 20 minutes. GNOG is fantastic. If you pick any of the games out that I'm talking about this month, make it this one. This one blew me away. Another game I played this month is HoloLab Champions. This is by the same people that did my favorite single-player VR game, I Expect You to Die, and it's nothing like that game. This game seems to be more catered towards a younger audience, and it is an edutainment VR game. HoloLab Champions is a TV game show about chemistry and teaching the contestants, or you, the player, how to use Erlenmeyer flasks and Bunsen burners, and how to weigh things, and chemical density, and mixing things, and the game is such a dork fest. But it was phenomenal to play. I played the entire thing, and the only real complaints I had about the game were the length, being only really 2 major things you can do at the current time, and the constant need to read the beakers and the flasks and the graduated cylinders with very fine detail. And in VR, very fine detail is not always the easiest thing to do. I found myself holding the graduated cylinder very, very close to my face to make sure that I could read exactly how much I put into that that container. But other than that, this is polished as hell. The presentation is fantastic. The controls feel incredible. It runs really, really well. And then the other thing I played this month that I want to talk about was a demo called Border Patrol. And this game has so much friggin' potential, it kind of makes me angry how short the demo is. This is essentially Papers, Please in space with robots in VR. The game plays identical to Papers, Please. You are in a checkpoint booth. Robots walk up to you, hand you an identification card, and you use tools located in the booth around you, the information on the card, the information on the different terminals around you to be able to see if these robots are legally allowed to pass. The issue that I had with it is that after the first day, an event occurs, and then the demo ends. I was so immersed into this experience that when I saw the thanks for playing sign, I got incredibly angry. This is really, really fun. Whomever is developing Border Patrol, if you are listening to this, oh my god, please finish this game. This game has so much potential. This could be a killer app for VR. It was that fun, but it ended after like 20 minutes. And I really, really wanted more to play. And thank you very much for watching. As always, I have some messages from our local E3 2013s. There's contamination and mutants in my brain. Kirov reporting. I'm a dad now, so now I just don't care what I look like. Once you've created life, you don't care what anyone thinks. You neat? 1v1 me 360 no scopes only in the Neopets Battlegrounds for 500 RuneScape gold. You know you won't. I have to drop something. Hold on. One of the most fun, engaging, and interesting things for a developer to do with a game after release is to balance it. The vast number of examples of game balance done poorly points to a larger problem of lack of passion and competence in the industry. I, Tyler McVicker, love vegan ice cream. Your salience is bad and you should feel bad. Come on people, you can't show a player a really big bomb and then not let them blow it up. And once again, thank you very much for watching. If you want to be able to get in contact with me about future VR projects, things that should be featured on this, whether it be Valve or VR related, my email is down in the description below, tylermcvicker@yahoo.com, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Oh, I forgot something. Also seen within the July 12th update of Dota 2 that brought us all the Zen particulate stuff was this. An icon I'm fairly certain is for Half-Life 3.